And so Graeme tonight is our guest speaker of honor. So let me just formally tell you a little bit about him. Graeme is an author, a speaker. He is the president of 602 Communications. He is a brain science researcher. He is a consultant specializing in behavioral finance. He has delivered more than 800 online presentations to more than 25 countries across the globe. From the gear that you're going to be learning about, to the specific ways to wake up the sleepy audience, to presentations filled with practical tactics, this is what Graeme masters. And this is what Graeme's bringing to us tonight. His client list reads like a who's who in business. And they've included such mom and pop organizations as GE, Disney, Sony, CBS, Madison Square Garden, Comcast, Universal Studios. We're not talking about trivial companies that don't know about technology. We're talking about people who you would think made this business, like Disney, that call on people like Graeme to do this work on Zoom better. And that's what we have tonight. And that's the kind of caliber we have on that board that is serving you this year. And that's who I'm here to introduce you tonight. So big round of applause for Graeme. I can't wait for the education, and it's all yours, buddy.
Stephen, thank you so much. I really appreciate that introduction. Hey, I've got a special guest tonight that I want to introduce you to right off the top. I'd like you to meet Jan Kwan. Jan works with me as my producer. So this is, I think, probably the first big lesson that I want to make sure that you get today. You should never go into any Zoom meeting without somebody like Jan in your back pocket. Because if there's anything that happens, if suddenly somebody comes on with a mic, or suddenly the breakout rooms don't work, or whatever, Jan is always there to take care of it. And let me tell you, Jan and I have had some drama over the course of the years, a lot of it. But your job is to present and to be the best presenter that you can be. And if you're worrying about the technical stuff on Zoom, and there's always tons of it, you're never going to be able to do it. So anytime I do a presentation ever, I always hire Jan to come. Now, Jan works in the Philippines, but he gets up early and helps me out every time. So if you need somebody like Jan, Jan's available for hire. He'll put his information on there, but I would recommend that you always have a producer, because it's an amazing resource and gives you this amazing confidence. So tonight, excuse me, I'm going to be showing you specific ways that you can look better online. Now, we're going to have lots of discussion tonight, so I want you to be sure and put lots of comments and questions in the chat. And if you would, leave your camera on today so I can see all of your smiling faces. Now, everybody's going to be on mute today, but I want to hear from all of you. So if you would, be sure and unmute yourself and chime in whenever you feel so. Now, here's a little trick that I like to do. If you want to unmute yourself, just simply press the space bar on your computer and then let it back up to talk. It's going to give you that opportunity to yak away, and then you can just let your finger off. Now, tonight, we're also going to be doing a lot of feedback. Now, the easiest way to play the games we're going to be playing tonight is to click on the link right now that Jan is putting in the website, right there. Just click on that Mentimeter link. And what you're going to see is a little welcome message that's got a little dog on it. And we'll be doing our first chat right up. So what I want to start with is the first question here is, what's the most frustrating thing about online meetings for you right now? I'd like you to list 3 things in the comments there. For all of us, we have had to do this in entirely new ways. You know, we have had to build these meetings, deal with the technical difficulties, make sure that we're selling in an entirely new way. And it's one of the toughest things that we've had to do. So I'd like you, if you would, just be sure to put your 3 comments in there of what those things are, and then click the submit button after you type your answer.
Used.
Limiting distractions. Oh, goodness, yeah. People that walk through and all kinds of distractions. How I look on screen. People not on mute, yeah. Sitting still, I love that. A kludgy camera connection. unable to read the audience. Everybody's got their camera off and you're like, am I bombing or am I doing well? Trying to manage the chat at the same time. Yeah. We've all had these amazing technical issues, and it's been so tough for all of us. It really has been. No one on camera. Yeah. So I want to congratulate you. You made it through what is probably the toughest years of speaking, that transition of making it to the next level. And oh my goodness, what a time and what a change we've had during that time. Overnight, all of us had to completely rework our entire communication strategy. Suddenly, all of us had to be video conferencing experts. And you probably didn't sign up for this skill. We've had to give so many online presentations, and man, we were learning on the fly. We're all getting used to it now, but it's been a tough thing for us. It really has. So let's do another poll now, if we would. What I'd like to know is specifically, what emotions do you feel when you're doing a presentation online? Are you going with confidence? Are you worried? What are those emotions? Excited, anxiety, grateful, angst. Always wondering if there's going to be a technical problem, right? Worried, anxiety. Be sure to hit that submit button once you put your answers in. A lot of people forget that. Authentic as it comes. All right, somebody with some confidence. I'm loving that. Yeah, what a list there. You start these meetings and you just wonder if they're going to work out. So today, what I'm going to show you is some simple ways that you can reach through that computer screen and have a more personal experience with your clients. I'm going to show you easy, inexpensive ways to configure your meeting setup so that you really do a better job. You're going to look better, you're going to be able to communicate more effectively, and most importantly, you'll be able to close some new business. Today, I'm going to lay out the specific gear that works best for your budget. Now, there's no need to write all this stuff down and to get all the names of all the gear. I'm going to paste a document into the chat right now, and that's going to contain all the links that you'll need. So just download that. Jan's got it in there right now. Download that, and it's going to have every single piece of gear that I'm going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to be answering all your questions about web meetings, web presenting, and we're not going to leave tonight until you've had a chance to get every question answered. So I'm going to stay after. If you have something specific that you want to talk about at the end of the meeting, stay with me, and I'll give you a personal consult on how to do your studio better. So how do I know about all of this video stuff? Well, I started my career as a television producer. I used to work for companies like CNN and NBC, companies like CBS. Now, today, I'm a speaker on behavioral finance topics. What I do is throw people inside of brain scanners and I ask them questions about how they make tough financial choices. So I use things like EEG headsets to measure their brain stimulation levels. And we do things like strapping galvanic skim response receptors to their fingertips. What's neat is that we can see the exact emotional engagement that they have at the very moment when they're making a decision. I use things like facial coding in order to read the micro expressions on people's faces. And we use all this new research and we create very specific situations where people are going to slip up on decision making. So I show business leaders how to recognize the signs that they're about to make an impetuous choice, and then I show them specifically how to get back on track. Now, I do bunches of behavioral finance presentations every single month, and I do that using my studio. So here's my studio, and what I want you to notice here is that I've got all the gear laid out in a pretty compact area. I've got playback computers, I've got microphones, teleprompters, audio boards, and switching. So what's neat is that when you combine the live streaming tech with the webinar tech, what I can provide is a training experience that's very interactive and it's got these really high production values. So these are things that I want to show you tonight, specific gear that's going to help you to really have your best look online no matter where you are. So I'd like to do another quick poll right now. What's the most important piece of hardware that you would say? As you think of what that is, would it be the camera, the lights, the computer, the microphone, or the background? What's the thing that you say, man, I got to make sure that this is really working for me? What would you guess that would be? Go ahead and vote now. Again, be sure and hit that submit button when you get done. So it looks like got a lot of folks voting on team microphone here. A lot of folks with the lights, the background. Very few on the computer. Yeah. Well, you got it right. The correct answer is that it's the microphone. It's one of the most important things that we can do. The most important component of your meeting. I'll forgive somebody if they've got some bad video, but if you got bad audio, can't hear somebody, I'm not coming back. So I'm going to show you 5 easy audio setups today. But before we start, I want you to really hear the audio that I'm sending to you right now. You'll notice that there's no background noise. And notice how you can hear both the highs and the lows in my voice. Now this gives my voice this sense of intimacy, like I'm almost can whisper and like I'm right here. And this is what you want to create as well. In an online meeting, it's not a natural environment. And so the more realistic and the more you can make your voice sound natural, the more the audience is going to trust and have that confidence in you. So let's look at the microphone setup that's probably used most right now, and that's the computer mic. Now, I want you to hear the difference in these mics, so I'm going to switch out the microphones. I'm going to change from the high quality mic that you're hearing now to the mic on the inside of my computer. Notice how hollow it sounds? That's because it's a very low quality mic. It's designed to be super small so that it fits inside a computer. Its job is to deliver basic audio in every possible situation. It's designed to be indestructible, not to deliver high quality audio. And think about where this microphone is. It's inside my computer, next to all those fans. To get the best sound, a mic needs to be as close to your mouth as possible. Computer mics are going to pick up every little background noise all around your office. This includes passing cars or noisy office coworkers. Computer mics are inexpensive and easy to use, but they're also going to deliver the lowest quality audio.
Next, let's move on to earbuds. You can hear the sound is still quite hollow here. Once again, the mic quality is low. The mic is on the side of my head, not in front where the sound is going. You get that compressed sound with few highs or lows.
Next, let's move on to headset mics. It still sounds a bit tinny, but there is absolutely no echo or room noise here. That's because the microphone is right next to my mouth. Headset mics are very directional. They're a great choice for noisy environments. A good headset mic will cost you only about $30. You can also get a wireless version that allows you to move around more easily. Now the downside of headset mics is you have to wear all this gear on your head. It looks a little less natural, but if you're in a noisy or chaotic environment, this is a good option.
Next, let's move on to the professional USB mic. This mic here is often called a podcast mic. This is a big mic, as you can see. You can hear the fuller sound and the better highs and lows. But notice how close this mic has to be to my mouth. To properly use this mic, it has to be right up here is where it has to be. This means it's probably going to be right in front of you and in your shot. Plus, it's probably going to get in the way a lot. And if you pull the mic away and take it out of the shot, what you'll notice is the sound level drops off. It's also going to pick up more room noise. So as great as this podcast mic can sound, I don't recommend it. What do I recommend? I recommend a shotgun mic is what you want to do. Now, this is a shotgun mic right here. Now, what I want you to notice is the long barrel that has, almost like you're firing a shotgun. This is a microphone that has a very directional pickup pattern. Now, what that means is you'll notice that when I come here and talk, you can hear me very well, but watch what happens when I turn away. It's almost like I'm off camera all of a sudden because it's only picking up this area right here. And this is what you want with a shotgun mic. It gets rid of that room noise. It's going to allow you to be a little farther away and yet still have some great quality audio. Now, you'll notice that I've got mine mounted on my ceiling, is what I've got going here. So this is out of my way. It mounts on my ceiling, and it's a great microphone that allows me to make sure that I don't get the room noise and yet still get the quality that I'm looking for. So let's do a quick review of all the prices and features, and you can pick the mic that's going to work well for you. So first of all, we've got computer mics. Inexpensive, very convenient, low quality though, and they're prone to background noise and to hollow audio. You want to use this option if your budget's tight. If your computer's very close to you, you can probably get away with this, but you'll need to have a quiet space as well. Next, earbuds. They are inexpensive as well too, which is nice. And wireless earbuds give you that great mobility. You can move around, but they suffer from the same problem as computer mics, low quality and prone to background noise. I'd recommend you stay away from these. It's just simply because there are simply a lot better options than earbuds. Next, headsets. This has so many good things going for it. Number one, it's good quality because the microphone is just inches away from your mouth. Noise cancellation keeps background noise out, and wireless headsets are very portable. They're also very inexpensive. But you'll have to make sure you've got this big headset on your head. And for a lot of folks who are like, I don't really like the look at that. It's not really something that I want to have that in front of me. So if you're looking for a good headset mic, I'm a big fan of Sennheiser headsets. They have some really great noise cancellation software that works really well, and it automatically will screen the background noise. Now, if you're looking for the top of the line, this is the one that I have, which I absolutely love. This is a broadcast quality headset mic is what we got here. This is the one that the sports announcers use. You know how they have a whole stadium full of people that are screaming and you can't hear them? That's how directional this mic is. Now it's a whopping $400, but this headset is absolutely top quality is what it is. Next, podcast mics. Very good quality, also full dynamic range. You're going to get those highs and those lows. But the cons are it's a pretty big microphone, and proximity is going to be required in order for this thing to sound good. If you move farther away, you're going to drop off. So this mic will set you back a couple of $100 as well. So I recommend you stay away from this. This is a mic for podcasters, which is fantastic, and let them use it, but you'll get better performance and the same price by choosing a shotgun mic instead. This is my choice, a shotgun. This is got that pro level mic. You're going to get that great quality, full dynamic range, and it's also going to focus that pickup pattern to eliminate that room noise. Now this is going to set you back about $250, so it's a pretty expensive mic. But the shotgun pattern means you won't be able to live without it. What you're going to love is this is a mic you'll have for years. Mine is 15 years old, and I've had it for years and years and years, and it's fantastic. So here's the mic that I recommend. It's the Rode VideoMic NTG. Now you'll also need a mic stand for this as well. Now for those of you who have vaulted ceilings, it's going to have a great way to cut down on that echo. So that's my recommendation on mics. Any quick questions about microphones? Go ahead and unmute yourself if you got any quick questions. Anybody?
Graeme, do you recommend, what's a recommendation for a shotgun mic that's not bolted to your ceiling, because that doesn't work in the space you have or don't have?
A shotgun mic doesn't need to be bolted to your ceiling. It can basically also be on a stand in front of you. So what you'll do is you'll take the shotgun mic and you'll put it like right here on your table. And then lo and behold, what you'll do is just put it right out of the shot, right? Like you notice my shotgun mic right here, I've got it just barely out of the shot. It's right there, you see? And so what's neat is you can do the same thing down below. And you can put it like it's right here, and that way it's shooting up at your mouth, and you're going to look really good. Nobody's going to see it, but it's going to have that great pickup pattern is what it's going to have.
Hey, Graeme, with the shotgun mic, that's an XLR plug, so that needs to run through a mixer, right, before it gets to your computer?
Correct. There's two different kinds of audio. There's analog audio, which runs through something called an XLR plug, which is what Brad was talking about right there. And for those, you'll need to have some sort of little digital converter. Those will cost you probably about $50, but there are plenty of those out there. And if you want to get a recommendation on a digital converter, I can do that as well. A lot of mics now, particularly shotgun mics, they will have a connection with both, where they've got a digital hookup and also an analog as well. So there's some mics like that. The guys that I love for gear recommendations is a company called B&H Photo out of New York City. They are fantastic. You can call them up and give them the weirdest situation, absolutely the weirdest stuff, and they'll be able to do a great job of really showing you exactly what you need to buy next. So, okay, let's go on next. Hey, Jen, I think you've got Brad spotlighted. You want to bring the spotlight to me? Excellent. Sounds good. So now let's move on to the second most component in an online meeting. And what is that? The camera? No. A second most important thing here that we got to make sure that we're taking care of is our background and our lighting. So if you look at most of the time, the problem that we have with lighting is that we're either overexposed or we're underexposed or we're lit from the side, or we have a badly lit background. So the camera that I'm using is 10 years old, and it's a pretty crappy camera. But the difference is that I am well lit. So when we think about camera lighting, it just seems so sophisticated and intimidating a lot of times. We think of those big Hollywood directors, and it's going to take some sort of lighting degree to understand stuff. But the good news is that basic lighting isn't that complicated or that expensive. It just needs to look professional. And a professional look is pretty easy to achieve, especially nowadays, because the lights are so awesomely great and so incredibly cheap. So you want to avoid having lights that you have to move in and move out every time you meet with the client. So once your lights are set, it's best to leave them if you can. That way you can have a client session and you only need to turn the lights on in order to start it. So I want you to think of light levels as you would think of sort of like an old-fashioned balanced weight scale. The goal is to carefully balance the light levels between the foreground and the background so that nothing gets too much light or nothing gets too little light. Getting the light balance wrong is the reason we have shots like this. It's because it's blown out on one side and dark on the other. So what we're looking for is lighting that looks sort of like this. What I want you to notice is that the light levels are pretty consistent and you can see most everything in the room. Nothing is too dark and nothing is too bright. Now this is what's called flat lighting, and this is the lighting style that most people shoot for when they're doing their video meetings. What this style does, it allows you to move around and you're still going to look good. Now the opposite of this is something called dramatic lighting, and this uses lots of blacks and shadows. Now doing this correctly is very cool, but it takes a lot of skill to do it. Typically, it's those professional video people that can do this kind of lighting. And this is probably not something that you'll want to try until you've gotten a little more advanced in your lighting. So our goal is to look like this, to have our background and our foreground well lit with very few shadows. So there are 4 specific situations that you want to avoid with your lighting. Number 1 being backlit, number 2 being overexposed, number 3 being underlit, or number 4 being side lit. So let's start with backlighting. Notice how you can't see this man's face? That's because, as we talked about with the scale, he's out of balance is what he's got. He's got too much light on his background and not enough on his face. Now he can get back into balance by simply adding some light to his face or by removing light from the background. Next, being overexposed. Here our problem, the light's simply too bright and his face looks all washed out. To get back to balance, all he's got to do is turn the light down that's in front of him. Again, the light level is too high in front of him and too low behind him. Next is being underlit. Pretty simple fix, you just got to turn on some lights here. And finally, being side lit. We've got too much light on the side of his face and not enough on the other. What happens most often is, what happened here is we got a window open or maybe something there in the scene. So what I want to show you here is 3 different types of lighting setups, and you can choose the one that fits your specific situation and fits your budget level too. So let's start with the basic light up. Now this requires just one light, but it's a very special kind of light. This is called a ring light. And it's a circle of light that does a great job illuminating your whole face. Now, this is what a ring light looks like. With a ring light, you set your camera up behind the light. Then you shoot the video through the center hole. Now, there's a lot of people that have ring lights that don't do this. What they end up doing is just sort of using the ring light off to the side. But a ring light is meant to have that camera shot right through it. Now, if you're going to do this, you're going to need a separate webcam so you can shoot through that hole. Ring lights are often used by, pro folks, photographers, because they provide this incredibly soft light and they give you a very pleasing look. Now, notice how toasty warm all of these people look. So if you take a look at the reflection in their eyes, you'll notice a little ring donut in their eyes. Yeah, that's a ring light. But one more thing you notice is that the background isn't lit really well. Unfortunately, if you wear glasses as well, like I do, it means that you can't use a ring light. Why? Because if you do, it's going to look like this, is what's going to happen. And if you wear glasses, you're going to have to pick something a little bit different is what you're going to have to pick. So ring lights are great if you're going to have a dramatic black background effect, but this probably won't work on a business meeting as well. There's probably just not enough light for this single ring light in order to light you adequately. Again, remember, we're looking for that balanced look so your audience can clearly see both you and the background. So if you're using a ring light, you're going to need to make sure that your background is still properly lit. So this is something that I recommend you do. Put really high wattage bulbs inside of your room. Go get the 150s, man, and screw them into the ceiling and get everything in there. You want to get the light level in the room way up. Now, if you really want to do this right, here's the wonderful cheap solution that you can buy is to go buy Home Depot and get yourself one of these shop lights. Now, instead of aiming it at the background, what you do is you simply point it at the ceiling, and then it'll bounce light off your ceiling, and lo and behold, it's going to look pretty good. It provides a great little base level that you can use. So for your ring light, here's the ring light that I recommend. This is a company called Newer Technology, and they do great, wonderful gear for photography, lighting, stuff like this, and it's super cheap. Now this comes with a stand, a tripod, it'll hold a camera and stuff, all of that. And again, done it at a really great price, only $90 for that. So that's the ring light. Again, it provides warm illumination, very inexpensive, but notice how the woman's ears and the side of her head are almost dark? That's because the light's coming from just one direction. And this is what we want to do is get the light spread out so we've got it coming from more directions. Because the other way, it means deep shadow. So let's move on from our basic setup to our advanced setup. So I'd like you to see the difference between these two images. Again, look at the ears of each of these women. Notice how the image on the right just looks a little more natural. So the way that we're doing that is like this. We're adding 2 lights instead of 1, and this gives us a more balanced look. But we're also going to add background lights as well. So we do this in order to light up our background. So the 2 in the front are lighting up you. The 2 in the back are lighting up the background. And now we've got that scale. We've got that balance going. So notice how their faces and the background are all really well lit. And this is our goal, to have the light in the foreground and the background matching like they are. Having 4 small lights instead of just 1 makes it easy to light up everything in the room. And just like Goldilocks, our background isn't too light or isn't too dark. Everyone and everything in the scene is very well lit. Now the lights that I like for this are these lights right here, again from Newer Technology. These are small LED panels, and luckily they just don't get hot at all. So they don't use a lot of power, and they're relatively compact, and they come with a light stand and a power supply. Now you'll need 2 of these kits. Again, one kit for you and the second kit for your background. What's really great about these things is that they have a dimmer switch. So you can dial in the exact level of light that you're going to need in order to make sure that you look great. Plus you can adjust the color as well too. So if you want to get a great look, it's about spreading out that light. And what we want to do is set up your lights, turn them on, turn on your camera, and then just look at yourself and say, am I too bright? Am I too dark? Am I too red? Whatever you are. You'll be able to take that light level and dial it back so that you're sure you've got that balanced level. Now, if you don't have a lot of room, I love these lights here if you're on a budget. These are small and they can mount right on your desk is what they can do. Great thing is that they're on a boom arm, so when you're done with them, you can just move them out of the way, and that's wonderful. Now, here's my favorite light right now. I'm just loving these things. This is the Elgato key light. This is a crazy tech light, and what's wonderful is it's still cheap. You can control it with a remote control. Now, it comes in two sizes. There's a regular key light, and then there's a smaller one there that just fits on a desk like that as well. Now, the regular key light, it clamps right to your desk. So what's nice is it doesn't have a big stand, won't get in your way too much at all. It's got an adjustable stand so you can move the light around, and you can arrange it now from almost any angle. The key light Air is super small, but it's a little less bright, but it takes up a lot less space. This is designed that if you just want to stick something on your desk, it really does work very well. And here's the big bonus, the remote control. You can do it from a computer, you can do it from a desktop app, or even what's called an Elgato Stream Deck on your phone. It's a great little setup, it really is. So the Elgato key light, it'll run you about $200, and that's for the standard, and about $129 for the key light Air. So now let's move on to our pro lighting setup. We're simply going to add 2 more LED panels to this. Now the goal here is to spread out the light across a wide area. And what you'll notice here is we're getting almost a half circle of light around you. So we're going to make sure we got to dial back the light level so we don't get too much light in front of us. This way you can match that light level. And we're also going to include something called a backlight. Now what a backlight does is it actually goes behind you and it's mounted on the ceiling. So what I want you to notice is, you notice how I've got a little shine here on the top of my head? And if I just bring this over, it kind of goes in and out. I've got a backlight that is highlighting me and separating me from the background. That's what a backlight does. It gives you that little glow around yourself and really separates you and makes you look wonderful. So another thing you can do with this pro level lighting is you can get very dramatic. You notice all the different light levels here? He's got small little lights pasted a little bit of everywhere. And that's the goal. That's what we want to search for, is all of these different ways in order to get the maximum amount of light. So let me show you a little bit about my studio setup and how my lights work. So what I've got is I have 2 gigantic LED panels is what they are. Those things are like 4 feet wide is what they are. And you notice I've got 2 of them, okay? So this is the equivalent of like 4 lights. And so if you go all the way around my studio, there's my background light. There is my light that lights me, my second light that lights me, and then finally my other background light. And then finally, you'll notice the background light. So what I want you to notice is I've got a half circle of light around me. And no matter where I do my hands, where I do my shadows, or no matter what goes on, I don't get any shadows. I can move around and I still look great. Again, I got a really crappy camera, but I'm just well lit. So don't just have one light. Have lots of little lights. That's what will make you look absolutely fantastic. So
Graeme, can I
let's
ask you
talk.
a question?
Sure.
When you just showed us your studio, all your lights look like they're high coming down at you. You don't.
Correct.
Do you have anything low coming up at you? Because you have no shadows under your chin either. And I would think that all of that coming down would give you some sort of shadow downward, but it's not.
Well, they're actually not too high up. They're probably just above me. Now, the reason that I have all my lights on the ceiling is for 2 reasons. One is it gets them out of the way. I'm not going to be tripping over light stands all day long. I'm a big fan of using your ceiling as much as you can. But the other thing, for those of us who use glasses, what I want you to notice, I have no glasses shadow. Excuse me, no glasses flare, right? But watch what happens if I look up. You see the lights? So if you've got glasses, this is the way to go. Use your ceiling as much as you can. You know, you can mount a light stand, a microphone, all this stuff on the ceiling. I put almost everything I can on the ceiling, and it keeps my floor clear. Particularly if you're sitting at a desk, if you can mount your mic on the ceiling, you don't have to put it on your desk. You don't have it on there with all that kind of clutter. Any other questions?
A quick comment on the glasses. If you get too much shine, you just pull it up just a little bit like this, and it reflects it down. Old cameraman trick.
Nicely done. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Very, very
I got a
good.
comment on that too, and that is my glasses are anti-reflective coatings, and that cuts out a tremendous amount of the minor reflections.
It does help as well. Getting those anti-reflective coating makes a big difference.
Graeme, do you have a setup that you use when you're traveling or when you're going to be doing something from the road?
You know, I do. I've got a whole series of just those little tiny portable lights, kind of like that Elgato key light that we had. You know, those, they usually come with a little carrying case that you can just kind of grab with you and set it up on a table. I've got a whole series of just little tiny lights that I bring with me. And whenever I need to do a presentation on the road, I've got everything right there. I've actually got 2 sets of it. I got, microphones and lights and computers and everything ready to go, where I don't have to have double sets. I can just grab a suitcase and go.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And I just ordered a newer ring light while you were talking, so thanks for that.
Fantastic. Excellent. Any other questions? Okay, now I want to enter on the most controversial of lighting topics out there, and that is the problematic thing of a window. Light from a window, it can give you a really great look, and it adds a lot of life to your meeting. So notice how professional this looks here. I mean, it looks like warm and natural. It just looks absolutely wonderful, doesn't it? It feels approachable and very real is how it looks. But the truth is, the video with natural light almost never looks like this. The shot right here was probably taken by a photographer, and it probably took him half an hour of just setting up lights in order to do that. How do windows usually look when we do meetings? Well, they usually look like this is how they look. And you're going to be gone. Outside light is so bright that it closes down the iris on your camera. Your face is going to disappear and you'll be little more than a silhouette in a camera. Even in the best of scenarios, if you've got a window in the shot, you're usually going to look dark and terrible is what's going to happen. Even if the window isn't in the shot, even if it's just being lit from that way. What I want you to notice here is notice how the right side of their faces are underexposed and the left side is overexposed. Look at any Zoom meeting and what you'll notice is that almost everyone who has a window in the scene looks terrible. They're either underexposed or overexposed is what happens. So light levels are going to vary dramatically depending on the weather. And every time the weather changes, your lighting is going to change as well. It's going to be too bright on sunny days and too dark on cloudy days. So what I recommend is, if at all possible, don't use natural light. Close the windows. Use only artificial light. Now this allows you to have complete control over how the environment is going to look. Now, if you need some good lights, here's another great thing. We have at Home Depot some cheap LED panels. You can get a gigantic LED panel from these guys. It'll light up the room like a sun. So if you're a DIYer, man, this is definitely the way to go. So let's do a quick review of the pros and cons of each of the lighting setups. So first of all, our basic pro, easy to use, great for confined spaces, and very inexpensive. Cons, it's going to need a background light, and the light is very directional with those ring lights. Our advanced setup, larger lit area. What's great is more room to move around, more lit up in your room. It's going to be more versatile, but it's going to cost you a little bit more on the lights. And this is the hard thing for a lot of us. It usually requires more space. For so many of us, how we light is really determined by how much space we have. And then finally, our professional, super polished look, even lighting everywhere, but costs a lot for the lights, and it takes a pretty large dedicated space. And sometimes this can be kind of complicated. Other questions on lights? Okay, let's keep going. Next, I want to talk about the third most important component of a streaming setup, and that is your background. So all of us are doing these meetings from weird and crazy places these days. I love this woman. She's got chaos just going all around her, but she's got her jacket going there, and she's facing the window, so she's pretty well lit. Nicely done there. So finding meeting space, it's just been tough for all of us, particularly if we're working from home these days. So there are 3 different approaches to backgrounds, and I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each one, and I'm going to show you the best way to get yours set up. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about where your video setup needs to be. You need to pick a space that's going to be quiet and controlled. And what that means is it should be away from traffic areas. Now, this includes things like families and pets and doorbells and alarms. So many folks really put their studio in a place that they know they're going to get traffic noise or noisy. If it's at all possible to get a dedicated space, to find a corner in a room, you can usually set up a studio, it doesn't take a lot of room. This is going to have you having complete control of your space, and you won't have to worry about being photobombed. I love that this woman here, her unsuspecting husband, by putting her meeting in front of those stairs, she's holding the whole family hostage, is what's going on. No one is going to go up or down those stairs while she's having her meeting. I love this woman. She's got her practical joker husband. And in every meeting, he purposefully photobombs her with costume after costume. He's got Batman going and Power Rangers, yeah, horror movies, yeah. So the beauty of a Zoom meeting is that you can still have a great look in a very confined space. Even with all the computer gear that I have, my studio is only about 10 feet deep. It's really not that far at all. And look where my background is. Right there, you see? It's right behind me, just 3 feet away. So the entire setup is just in one small corner of my office. So it works best, have that dedicated space. And if this isn't an option for you, then I recommend that what you do is you try to get something that's going to have an angle that's going to allow you to kind of turn or move so that you'll be able to have a nice background behind you. I recommend you not set up your Zoom space at your desk where you work all day. Why? Because the lights and the cameras and the mics and all of that stuff is just going to be in your way, or you're going to have to take it down and tear it up and put it back up again. Can you find any space where you can have a dedicated space? Now, as we talked about earlier, you want to stay away from windows. And if you do have windows, just close the blinds on them. You want to use controlled artificial light if you can. If you can't close the windows, try to set up your studio so the window is in front of you. Now, what that'll do is that'll light your face with natural light coming in, and that's a better way to go. The space you pick, it should also work for audio recording as well. Rooms with vaulted ceilings or very hard surfaces tend to have a lot of echo. Now, if you've got that going, what you can oftentimes do is just put blankets or curtains, or a lot of folks leave them by fabric wallpaper. As we mentioned earlier, the right mic will really help as well too. So let's dive into 3 different types of backgrounds, and I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each one of these. So first of all, let's start with our natural background. It's all about the existing background that you already have in your home or office. Now, your background is going to show whatever's behind you, and I recommend you take a hard look at what is behind you. If you don't like what's there, you can just simply rotate your chair and move your computer, and odds are you'll be able to get a better shot. You really will, and a better angle. Dramatic backgrounds with big views like this behind them, they look cool. They look neat. They give that feeling of open air. And it makes both you and your office look big and important is what it does. But if you're, at work or in a busy office, and this could be asking for trouble, so you want to think hard about who is behind you and what those distractions are going to be like. So here's a meeting that I was on the other day. And as you take a look at this, what I want you to notice is you're in a visual desert here, okay? And your brain is going to be desperate for distraction. And so you're going to obsess on every single thing that's in that bookshelf. You're going to look at that cup and that book. So this woman here, all we're going to look at is the background blackboard behind her. So what are these numbers? So, it looks like she's vehicle. I think she's buying a car. Well, she's got a $61,000 Nissan Rogue. Rogues don't cost that much. Is she buying more than one car? Maybe this is a car dealer that's going. And so you see what happens. Your brain just takes off is what ends up happening. Because we're just going to have everything in the meeting showing up. Yeah. I'm going to not have the meeting with this guy. I'm going to catch up on my TV. That woman looks a little like Marie Osmond. Didn't she have a brother? Or did they have a Vegas act or something? So you see what's going to happen. Your brain's just going to take off. And you've got to make sure that stuff is working behind you, whatever it is. It needs to be purposefully set there, and it needs to make sure that it's reinforcing a message that you want to have. So even here, little things like that water bottle, and I'm going to be looking at the picture. This is why I have a white background. with no color. You got one thing to look at, and that is me, and that's it. And that's why it works so well for me. So let's look at the pros and cons of natural backgrounds. Number one, they're inexpensive, easy to set up, and they are very natural setting, which is nice to use. But the cons, the clutter problem, difficult to light and control, and photobombing is always a problem. So let's go on to our virtual backgrounds. Now, virtual backgrounds look great, and they are real and professional when they are done correctly. So this one here, I'm a pro at this stuff, and I had to look hard to find out whether this was real or not. Very nicely done. Virtual backgrounds, what I love about them is they're incredibly fun, and you can have a lot of cool backgrounds that just reflect your whole personality. So you can show them your style is what you can do, and you can, share a passion that you might have in your life. You know that when the meeting starts and you got this background, we're gonna get a wonderful Trekkie conversation going right away. So have something that's a conversation starter right at the beginning. Maybe you're a big fan of The Simpsons, is what you love. Or maybe your artistic side, you want to show that off. The great thing is that with all of these backgrounds, you can have so much fun and show your own style. You can have a little comedy, or maybe do what James Corden did and, put rolling video behind your background just for something fun. So virtual backgrounds, there's no need to keep your office clean as well. You can have whatever you want and just have your whole office and house be a wreck behind you. And that is really great, particularly for those of us working in small houses. But let's get real on virtual backgrounds. The truth is, they almost never look like this. They really don't. A clean look with crisp edges and no distortion. How do they usually look? They usually look like this, is what they look like. It's got that weird space alien kind of thing going on, and it buzzes and it clicks, and you're like, oh, it's just so distracting. Have you had that thing where body parts start disappearing? Somebody's hand brings up and their hands just completely disappear? Particularly arms and hands is what we see those with. So if you're gonna do a virtual background, then you need to do it right. And what that means is you should invest in a green backdrop. And this is important because you've got to make sure that you look good. And if you're buzzing and whizzing the whole time, it's just going to be incredibly distracting is what it's going to be. You've also got to make sure that you're well lit. So this woman here, she's not well lit. And if you aren't evenly lit with a chroma key or keyed background, it's going to look awful. It really is. So your light must be even and have sharp edges with minimum shadow. Now, here's the light that I really like. This is a portable green screen background that you can use, and it folds up, which is really nice. So you can store it away. And it's a good, clean, keyable background. If you don't use green screen, if you don't use this, your green screen is just not going to be able to be controlled. It's really not. As you see, it's a really cool little thing, and it's very tiny. It even travels well. It really does. So here's that unit. It costs about $40. You can get a 5x6 foldable screen, and you'll need a stand, but that should only cost you about $20. So let's review the pros and cons of the virtual setup. Number one, customizable, creative and fun, and very controllable. Number two, sketchy quality sometimes, particularly if you haven't done your lighting homework. Hard to do effectively. It needs extensive setup a lot of times to make sure that you look good. And to be consistent, you need even lighting as well. And you're going to have to buy a little bit of gear. So now on to our third option, wallpaper. This is my favorite, is what it is. So let me show you my studio here. So my background right behind here, let me show you mine. I have a simple white paper, but I've got 3 rolls of background. Here's what I got. Now what I want you to notice is you see that little chain that's right there? Do you see that? That simply rolls up. So all I got to do is just like a Venetian blind, roll it up, and it rolls right up into the ceiling. So behind me, I've got a whole window behind me. And this thing again, Graeme the ceiling guy, it just rolls right up into the ceiling, and lo and behold, I've got a great look. Wallpaper is great because it eliminates all the technical problems and the lighting challenges of green screen. You get the same great look, but there's no green screen buzz. Yeah. And there's several ways to do this. Now, number one is that you can take a high quality picture of your background, then get it printed onto a plastic roll. Or even better, you can use a stock wallpaper photo. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, here's the seamless paper and stand. You can get this in any color you want, but be sure you buy paper that fits for your room. You want to set up your camera and then measure the edges of your camera shot, not the edges of the room. You want to have it just big enough where it's going to be able to kind of go from shoulder to shoulder is what you want. Now what's great is there's photography wallpaper that's got all kinds of incredible textures like brick and stuff like this. Now this typically comes folded up and not on a roll. So if you're going to buy this, what you've got to do is get yourself a stand and buy a piece of 2-inch PVC piping from Home Depot. And you can just roll it right up on it. Again, it stores out of the way and it's out of the way. And so this is a great solution also for green screen. You can roll it right up in the ceiling when you're finished. So here is that hook it to the ceiling thing that I bought, okay? It's really great. It can handle up to 4 rolls of seamless paper is what it can do. And again, it's about $100. This is a great way to have a really great looking background. And you can pick a background that fits your mood. 4 different backgrounds. You can have one that's kind of fun and urban, one that's whimsical, one that's plain, and one that's green. There's so many different choices that you can get. You can go for that natural look, or you can get really whimsical. Or maybe give yourself that power office you always dreamed you wanted to have. This will really do it. So to find this, it's incredibly cheap. There are hundreds of choices. Go to Amazon and search the phrase photography wallpaper. It'll get you exactly what you're looking for. So let's review the pros and cons of wallpaper backgrounds. Number 1, customizable, creative and fun, and no weird green screen problems. The cons, it's a permanent room fixture. Again, you got to make sure it doesn't overtake your room with stands and stuff like this. It's going to require a wall mount or a stand. Okay, any questions on backgrounds? Stephen,
Yeah, I have a question for
Yeah.
you. Like you'll notice my camera is pretty freaking wide, right? I mean, that behind me is a futon that's I think almost 7 feet, and it's, I'm going from my window wall here to almost that. I don't know which arm's which, right? And I would need an outrageous green screen because this camera shoots so wide. So maybe
Correct.
this is a question that you'll answer when you get to cameras, but otherwise, I'd be like really close and have it really close in order to weed out everything else, because those panels are only 10 feet wide. And with this camera, my 10-foot wide movie screen is not wide enough. So
Absolutely.
what do you,
Stephen, you've got the
more of a
wrong camera.
Question? I'm sorry.
You've got the wrong camera. So what I want you to notice as well is, you notice Stephen has got something called wide angle distortion. You notice how his face looks kind of stretched,
I thought that was my face.
Yeah, and that's because he's got a super wide angle lens on there. So that's not a great camera. And what he's going to need is to get a camera that's got some zoom capacity. And Stephen, are you in luck? Because our next topic is all about cameras. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So with cameras, what's so great is that they're so high quality right now. But a lot of people have a tendency to get intimidated. But man, there are super inexpensive, small, wonderful cameras now. And there's just an amazing number of them that are really fantastic. There really is. So for about $100, you can get a good basic camera that's going to provide you with a solid performance that's going to last for years. But what most people don't realize is that at this point in time, buying a high-resolution camera really isn't going to be able to feed anything that's in any of the online meeting platforms, because Zoom and all the other platforms peak out at 1920 by 1080. That's the best that they can do. So my camera is 12 years old, okay? And I have had it forever. I really have. But it works fine because it's still 1920 by 1080. So if you want to buy one of those fancy 4K cameras, it's absolutely fine to do that. But you've got to understand is as far as resolution goes, it's not going to change that much. So you don't need to spend a lot of money. You can get a really great look without spending a ton on a camera. So the automatic settings for your camera will usually do a fine job of creating a pretty good image. They will. But particularly if you've got varying light levels, it's important to remember that what the camera does is it does an average of what's in the room. So you'll notice in this shot that her face is a little dark. Why? It's because we've got that bright light going on behind her. She's gotten out of balance. So what's neat is that there's some very simple software that you can use to manually adjust your camera and tweak it.
So what you'll notice here is I don't look very good. I'm too red and I just look too splotchy. So what I can do is go to the controls and manually adjust these. So I'm going to dial back that color and temperature, that color intensity. Yeah, that's just a little more natural. And again, I just feel like I'm a little too bright, so I'm going to pull that brightness back. Just adjust and tweak exactly where I want it. Now I can control things like the contrast, and I can also control what's called the white balance. Do I want more blue light or do I want more yellow light? All of these settings are customizable to where you can tweak in your meeting to make yourself look great.
And this is what you want to use for this. If you're on the Mac platform, it's called Webcam Settings. Costs you $8. You can download it from the App Store. If you're on the Windows platform, Webcam System Settings, this one's even better. Only 99 big cents is all this thing ends up costing. So we've learned how to adjust our camera, but which camera is going to give you the best look for the money? So we've got, first of all, 3 different options. Number 1, our computer camera. What's nice, most all of us already have this. We're not going to have to spend any money at all using our computer camera. Number 2, webcam cameras. These will run you about $100 to $200 is what they'll run. And then finally, professional video cameras. These are the ones with the toasty look. So I asked my buddy Kevin Colby, he's a professional studio builder, and I asked him to give me a demo to explain these 3 options.
When you're presenting, why not have the best looking video you can? So right now you're looking at what's called the FaceTime camera. This is the built-in camera on a laptop. It's the absolute worst resolution you can have. Now, let's switch to a webcam. This is a webcam. I use a Logitech C920. It's not bad. You can actually change things like the color and the brightness to make it look a lot better. But if you really want great quality, check this out. This is a mirrorless camera. You can also use a DSLR camera that hooks up very simply and gives you an absolute professional looking video without actually being a professional.
Pretty cool. Doesn't that look neat? Now, what I want you to notice is what's really making this thing work is not necessarily the camera so much as it is the lens. So what I want you to notice is you notice how that background is kind of fuzzy. Do you notice that? Notice how it's kind of out of focus? That is called bokeh. And that's something that you can do with these cameras. It gives it that incredibly professional look. But what makes it great is usually the lens is what makes it great. So computer cameras, they're going to suffer from 2 problems. Number 1 is they've got a very low dynamic range, and they usually have really bad color as well. Like you look at this woman here. The video's grainy, her color is weird, she just looks terrible. The second problem is the up-the-nose camera angle, as I call it. Or, as I sometimes call it as well, the let me show you my ceiling video. Because the camera is in the computer, the camera has got to shoot up, is what ends up happening. And so with this low angle, the audience is going to be staring at your double chin and your ceiling for the entire meeting. So what you need to do is you need to raise up your camera. Now, what I like to do is take a little box, if you're going to use your webcam like this, excuse me, use your computer camera, raise it up and get it a little bit higher. But the problem is it's just not very comfortable. It really isn't. So what I recommend you do is that you get a standalone webcam. Even if you have a camera that is on your computer, get a second one and put it on a little stand. Both the lens and the camera are probably going to be better, and it's especially true if you've got a cheap laptop. So by doing this and using an external webcam, you're going to look better. It also frees you up to position your computer any place that you want it to do. A separate camera is usually a good idea. So here is the camera that I recommend. If you've got a tight budget, this is a Logitech camera. I think they make really nice cameras. This is the C920, and it's a pretty cheap little camera, only about $70. Now this is an older camera, but it really is holding up pretty well. It really is. So if you've got a bit more money, what I'd recommend is the Logitech StreamCam. Again, a better camera. Runs about $149. This is a brand new model, and it's a pretty neat little camera. But this is the camera that I'm really digging these days. This is the Elgato Face Cam. Again, more technology from Elgato. They were the guys that did those cool controllable lights before. Well, this is the same company here. So just like the Elgato key light, the camera's got a full remote controllability. And what that means is that you can directly control it from a laptop, a phone, or you can use an Elgato Stream Deck. Here's another great option for you. You can also use an iPhone as a webcam, but you'll need some specific software from the Mac App Store in order to do it. Now, this software is called Shoot Clean Camera Feed. And the camera in your phone, it's crazy great. It's the best camera. It'll put any webcam to shame, is what it'll do. So this is a really great option. If you don't mind setting up your phone and getting it all put together, you're going to look great. And particularly with a lot of these new processing things that they have where they can automatically add bokeh and things like that, it's going to look pretty awesome. So if you've got even an old phone, you may want to set this up as your webcam. You're not using the phone anyway. Go ahead and use it this way. I'd also recommend that you get this handy suspension boom arm on your desk. Because what you can do is you can move the camera out of your way when you're not using it. You can again just swing it in. So you can have 2 or 3 of these boom arms, some for your lights, some from your camera, and then they're all clamped to your desk, and you move them out of the way when you're done. So finally, our professional option. This is the mirrorless professional camera. Now this is going to give you the super high quality look of those luscious blacks and those beautiful out of focus backgrounds and the warm toasty colors. Now you may already have a camera that you could use for this. Do you have an old DSLR that's sitting around, or maybe one that you got recently? A lot of times these cameras do video. So for a camera, what I recommend is if you want to go with the top of the line, this is a nice one here. This is the Canon M50. Canon has really worked hard in making sure that their cameras work very well with video. And what's neat is they're simple. I've got a DSLR that is mostly Sony, but they're very complicated. They really are. This is really great. And what I recommend you do, this camera's been out for a couple of years, is look on Facebook or look on eBay to see if you can find it. Now you're also going to need a lens for this, and I'd recommend this Canon zoom lens. This is going to allow you to dial in the perfect shot. You definitely want to get a zoom because you want to have the camera placed perfectly, and the zoom will allow you to zoom the shot in. Now with a DSLR, you've oftentimes got to get a video capture card because we've got to convert the analog video to a digital signal on your computer so that it can be handled. So the whole package, about $1,100. It's a lot of money. But you'll have a great camera that you can also use for stills and videos as well. Any questions on cameras?
Graeme, it's Tracy. This may be a camera question. I have a Logitech Brio, which I really like. But what I notice sometimes is that when people are looking into their laptops, if they have glasses, the whole laptop view is in their frames, lenses. What do you recommend? It feels like no lighting in the world can make that better.
Yeah, well, what you got to realize is that you got to think of glasses reflections in terms of geometry. Okay, so what happens is if you got something directly in front of you, the light comes, it bounces off your glasses and goes right back into the camera again. So if you either put the light up or you put the light down, or if you put the laptop up or put the laptop down. So if you've got the laptop down here low, what's going to happen is it's going to bounce and go up, you see? So think of it in terms of almost like a ricocheting bullet. And so what you want to do is move it so that you don't have the reflection. It's either move the lights or move whatever the light source is. Mm-hmm. Now, I noticed that you've got a bit of shadow, a bit of reflection going right here.
Yes.
Is where you've got that going. And particularly now, you see. So what you've got to do is you may be a candidate for lights up tall.
Yeah.
And again, it sounds like you're in your living room, and I don't know if you want those kind of lights in your living room. So.
Well, it's the family room / office / workout room.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
For all of us, that's what we're doing. But the higher you can put your lights, Tracy, the better you can look.
Okay, great.
So it may be just 2 lights that you put on stands, and you get them all the way up high, and then you put the stands away after you're done with your meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Got it.
Any other questions on lighting?
So Graeme, I have a question. So,
Oh, I was just going to say, I think Jen has her hand up, and then maybe we can go to Doris, and then I had a quick comment as well.
Sounds good.
Jen, you're muted right now. If you want to unmute.
I'm trying, thank you.
There you go.
I just want to share, Graeme, this is maybe the third time I've listened to you. As a total non-techie, I have the damn Canon E, whatever it is. It's been sitting in a box for the last 2 years, have been intimidated to put it up. I have the Elgato green screen looking at me. I have Stream Deck loaded. And there are times when you just look at all this techie stuff and all I want to do is speak. And you just get so frustrated by all this stuff, which honestly has nothing to do with communication. It does on your level, but to those of us who've been around a long time, it doesn't. And so I came back to my Graeme, get grounded, slow down, take a deep breath, and go one step at a time. So I want to acknowledge that. I see Tracy putting a hand up, maybe.
I'm trying to fix a light.
Oh, and I thought you were saying you agreed with me. Well,
boy, you're doing it right. No question. This stuff can just be so overwhelming. It really can, and I've thrown a lot at you tonight. But the thing to do is just to say, I'm going to do one little thing. Okay, I'm going to get that mic going, or I'm simply going to go and turn the camera on and watch a video about it. What you may want to do is hire somebody to help you. There are people that are kind of just tech gurus that can come and just show you how to set up, the basics. There's a ton of stuff on YouTube, particularly any camera in the world, man. Boy, they have like entire classes on it. So, but you got to take it in small steps because, it gets so overwhelming and it's just so tough. It really is.
thank you.
Next question.
I just, first of all, I wanted to say thank you so much. And I could understand what Jen was talking about, the sense of overwhelm. And I think one of the ways that maybe NSA we can offer is have a small groups, just like we do the coffee and conversation, a small groups where we can say to each other, oh, your lighting looks good, your microphone is this, maybe, look at this one, maybe you can try this one. So there are other options. My question, however, has to do with the camera. So I have iPhone 13. And you were mentioning that I could just go to the App Store and download this Shoot Clean Camera Finder. And then I just place the camera on a stand right behind my camera of my Mac. Is that
Correct.
What you're saying? So,
perfect. You'll need to run a lightning cable into your computer and it'll look beautiful.
So what does that, you see? So when you said that, suddenly Doris is thinking like, what does he mean? What do you mean that I have to run through? What am I running through? And is it me running through or do I have to hire somebody to run it through? Because I have no idea.
Real easy. Yeah. Do you know the cable that you charge your phone with?
Yeah.
All you got to do is hook that into your computer.
Oh, okay. You see, because I was in my head, I'm envisioning, okay, I have to open this laptop. Yep. I have to go inside. And I'm like, that could not be me.
Very easy to do. Very easy to do. So.
Okay. So that's okay.
And
so,
Doris, again, what you do is if you have any question in the world, you just go to YouTube and say, how do I set up Shoot Clean Feed? There'll be a video. There'll be a video on everything, right?
Yeah. One of the questions I had from before is regarding the microphone. I use a podcast mic because that's the beginning of my career was with a podcast. So you can hear me from the podcast mic right now. But the shotgun, I definitely put it on my list. But I've heard that for that I need to have a converter to measure or something. So it can be just a shotgun plugged into my computer. Is that correct?
That's correct. What you got to do is you got to call B&H Photo and say, help, I want to buy a shotgun mic. I don't know which one and I don't know how to get into my computer. And they'll say, okay, Doris, buy this cable, buy this mic, and here's what you need to have. They'll give you all the advice you need. They're wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Nice.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hey, Graeme,
Josh.
I had just a quick comment, and then I know Stephen has a question and Chuck has a question as well. I've been using the Logitech C920. It's a fabulous camera. I found the Logitech gaming software, and that will do all of your camera controls within
Nice.
that. And
That's
so,
great.
and it's really intuitive. You just go in there. You don't have to be a camera whiz. Just go in and start moving the sliders around. And eventually you'll be like, oh, I like how that looks. And then you can set it and forget it from that point. So
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Logitech's got its own software too. So if you buy a Logitech camera, you get the software with it too. So wonderful. Chuck, you had a question?
Yes, a comment on Tracy's comment. And I think one thing that didn't come up is when people buy webcams, too often they hook it right on the computer, right where the old camera was on the computer. So they're looking directly at their screen. It's reflecting back right into that camera that's right there. Put it on a tripod and put it 8 inches to the right of where it was. So you're facing the camera this way and the computer screen here. It's hitting your glasses, reflecting out that way. You don't have a problem.
Great idea.
It's just even putting it on the monitor, but move it off to the side. And then don't just turn your eyes or your head. Face the camera.
Perfect. Excellent. Stephen, you have a question?
Yeah, that actually is in alignment with my question. Where do you place the camera? Because I have, I don't have, not very good for Zoom, but I have a nice setup here in that I have 2 monitors on the wall, and one's a fairly big monitor, 27 inches, right? And so I did exactly what Chuck just said. My camera is on top of that 27-inch monitor, so that's my primary screen. So my camera, and then I can see all you guys and do that. But as you notice, it looks like my camera is coming down into my head. And, when I'm looking at you, then I'm nowhere near looking at the camera. And you appear to be looking more directly at the camera. But how do I do that if I can't embed the camera in the middle of my screen?
Well, what you can do is buy a teleprompter. So you see the whole presentation that I've got, all my notes are there and everything of all the things that I want to say. So Stephen, the way that I've got my studio set up is that, so here's my switcher. You see, I've got my little hands here that I can just switch it. And then I've got it stacked like a pyramid. Here's something that I need to see at that level. Here's the teleprompter that I need to see at the next level. But you see how all I have to do is just do a little eye glance to see all the different stuff?
And your camera is behind that teleprompter.
Yeah, and the camera is behind that teleprompter. But by stacking it like that and building it exactly where you can just change the level that you look at, what happens now, you can get a tremendous amount of data in. So you notice, and here's my TV monitor, which is right next to it, you see? And here's my controller down here. So everything is all jammed together, and I can see everything. And so for you, your camera's a little high, but I don't think it's bad. I think you look pretty good there. I think you do some work on background, and I think you're set. Your lighting is a little kludgy. Notice you're very dark on one side and very light on the other. But again, you're probably not doing a presentation tonight. But this is an opportunity for you to kind of tweak this a little better. It's tough in those rooms like this. But what's great is what I talked about with that face cam light, with the key light. Those lights are very small, and you should be able to put them on your desk and have you look really good. Other questions?
Hey, Graeme, I had 2 questions about your camera and your teleprompter. One is, how far is your camera from your face? And then can you also put the Zoom Brady Bunch boxes on your teleprompter?
So what I've got with my teleprompter is that, so as I go through, so like here is the last shot. And what I want you to notice is that this is nothing more than a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
See? And I've added video to the PowerPoint. That's how I'm doing this. And then do you see the notes?
Yeah.
Right to the right side? So I don't have to memorize anything, and I'm looking right at the camera. Now, if you look down about right there, do you see the lens right there?
No.
You look in the white, you can kind of just barely see it.
Okay.
You see? And so what's neat is I'm looking right into the camera the whole time. So I'm staring right into the camera lens, and I'm looking right at my notes.
Gotcha. And how far is that camera from you?
So I do this a little differently than most people because I've got a little more space. The farther away your camera is from you, the less the look down is going to show up. And so I've got mine probably about 6 feet away from me.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, it also allows you to get more depth of field.
Yep, which is very nice, you know, and it looks really great. I've got the studio to do it, but there's no reason that thing can't be 3 feet from you if you've got the right, you know, the right camera. That's one of the advantages of a DSLR setup is that you can zoom it, you know, and you can get a nice lens. You really can.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Other questions?
Graeme, I'm wondering, I sometimes lower the brightness of my display when I'm presenting just to help minimize the glass glare.
It's a great idea. You know, you got to remember that display is a light. It's a big light. And so there's some people that use them as lights in such a way. Now, lights coming off of displays are very blue. So a lot of times what you'll need to do is adjust your what's called the color balance. So it's oftentimes called white balance as well. So with a camera, let me explain a little bit about what white balance is. White balance, you have to tell the camera what is white. And so what you typically do is you take a screen with some white on it and you take a picture of it, and the camera says, okay, now I've got the gauge of what exactly white is. So one of the things that I want you to notice is you can use white balance for this. So I want you to look at my complexion, okay? Do you notice how red I am? You see, I look very tan. You know, normally I'm just the palest, you know, most pasty guy in the world, you know, out there. But I've got my lights set so that they're blue, okay? And the blue lights make me look red. It makes me look healthy and warm.
Wow.
And that's something that you can do as well. Hey, Adam, do you want to talk about white balance a little bit? You're probably the master at this. Oh, I think we've lost Adam. Okay. Any other questions?
What was the question?
You want to talk about white balance a little bit? And
yeah, sure. So I think what people let me put my video on 1 second here. Sorry, you caught me sneaking off making a sandwich. I think what most people don't realize is that perceptually, our brains compensate to kind of make everything look neutral, but light really has a lot of color in it. So if you think about the old incandescent lights, they're very yellow. If you're under fluorescent light, it's this just pukey green color. So one of the things that, you know, or if you have a wall with a strong color, that will also affect the light because it's going to be reflecting color into your shot. So I think there's this striving for neutrality in terms of the colors that are around you. I don't know that the webcams don't really have too much control of white balance. You tell me about that, Graeme.
a little bit. Yeah, we definitely got some color balance, and particularly some of the newer ones. And this new face cam has actually a pretty good white balance and a pretty good color thing on it. But you know, you just sort of dial it in. Just sort of look at it, look at yourself on camera, and see how it works.
Right. And that's the thing, you look at yourself on camera and you can kind of make the changes to figure out.
Yeah.
So what's cool about some of the newer lights, sorry to jump in, is I have this new light where I can actually change the color temperature, right? So I set my white balance for normal, and then I warm up the light, and it pulls out my Scandinavian skin a little bit.
And so you notice Brad and I both look very red and very healthy, you see? And that's a neat thing. So other questions?
So is the that teleprompter that you were talking about that you showed us, is that on the list as well?
It's not. That's a whole nother presentation, and I can do that one. That's the more advanced setup. That requires a little bit of prowess in order to make that go. And again, I would talk to the folks at B&H Photo. They can probably help you get that. A good teleprompter will cost you about $1,000. So. But boy, it's so nice to be able to do a presentation and just have the notes right in front of you the whole time. It's wonderful. I don't have to memorize anything. So.
Graeme, when you were talking about virtual backgrounds, you never mentioned the video backgrounds.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
not a big fan of video backgrounds because what we've got, what Chuck's talking about, somebody that'll like put a monitor like right here, right, Chuck?
No, I'm talking about that's
Oh,
my virtual
that. Oh,
background.
fantastic. Okay,
when my
even better.
presentation
Fantastic.
goes to hell, I just fade into the background.
That is awesome. There we go. That's awesome. Again, Chuck can have some fun with this, and that's the nice thing about this. You know, have 6 or 8 of these ready to go. It's it's fantastic.
16.
So, excellent. That sounds great. So I've thrown a lot at you today, man. All kinds of different ways to do meetings. And it really does end up being something that can be so overwhelming. But what I would recommend you do is just pick one thing. I'm going to make a mic better, or I'm going to upgrade my camera, or I'm going to do a better background. It can be pretty overwhelming. So there's no reason for you not to do it slowly. And then you'll just slowly get better. You know, the important thing to remember is that taking this next step and upping your game on basic production values is going to be pretty important. Because what's next? Well, we have, all these companies now like Facebook and Apple that are coming out with AR goggles. And those will be out later this year. And we're going to be doing AR in a few years, okay? It's not just going to be you giving a presentation over Zoom. It's going to be you in the room live is what it's going to be. So you need to get familiar with this technology. It's gotten so easy and so cheap, and there's no reason that you can't do it well. There really isn't. Okay, I want to dive into a breakout room here just to talk a little bit more about things and stuff that we might do today. So what I'd like to hear from you is, what are you going to change in your web meetings? After you've seen this presentation, what are the things that you think that you can do? So Jan, if you would, let's put us into the breakout rooms. We'll take about 5 minutes, and then we'll be back here. When we come back, what I'm going to be doing is doing some live improvement on some of your setups. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some live adjusting of lights, microphones, things like that. I'm going to do an in-service on anybody that wants to improve their studio. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So let's go ahead and go to our breakout rooms. Good job, Jan. Nicely done. Excellent.
Yep. They are now in breakout. Oh, wait. Okay, in room 1, I think there's someone who dropped out. So
they've only got 2. That's okay. As long as there's two people in there, we're good.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Well, hey, let's open it up. I'd love to hear about some of the things that you heard about. So, Doris, what was the most inspirational thing that you heard in your meeting?
Well, I was with Sherry and Terry and Jen. And Jen is an inspiration. She's just full of knowledge. Told us, where to go and the name of this Adrian guy, and that he will be so patient with the webcam and the B&H, and we talked about this shotgun microphone, and it's good with USB. So I think I'm going to go buy that, because I don't know if you remember, Graeme, you gave this talk a year ago, and the price on that shotgun a year ago was close to $500 for something. And now it's at $249. So the price is definitely reasonable. So I think if I go with your suggestion, do one thing, I think that's definitely the one thing I need to do. So then I could be away from the mic, from the camera, and still sound close.
Perfect. That sounds wonderful. Excellent. That sounds great. Brad, you want to share what you heard?
Yeah. So we were, just before we got cut off, I was going to say that one of the biggest problems is keeping to look into the microphone, right? And we're always looking away. So what I have, if I do this right, is right next to my camera, I have Leela, the one-eyed beauty from Futurama. And she has been with me for the last 2 years, folks. And she has heard everything that I've done back here.
That's fantastic. Leela, what a great listener.
Yeah. And she doesn't ask a lot of questions, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's all right. Okay. Well, hey guys. But before I go, I hope you'll hang out with me a little bit. Here's my website. I'm at graemenewell.com. If you want to watch, I do a lot of videos, and so if you'd like to go, you just go there and click on the video blog link as well. I'm a big YouTuber, and I do a lot of this. You can just scan that QR code, or just look for Graeme Newell videos in Google, and it'll bring those up. And also, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I do a lot of work on LinkedIn, so I hope you'll friend me there. You can just search for me there, and give me a call or email me if you got a question or whatever. Feel free to reach out on social media, and I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can. Okay, so who's ready to do a little bit of an in-service? Who would like to have a little critique of their studio? Let me see if I can help you out. Anybody want to volunteer?
Jen had her hand up a minute ago.
May I make a non-technical comment, Graeme, if I may?
You sure can.
This session, as we all needed, was all technical. On Friday, I was live in front of an audience for the first time in 2 years. And I just want to make a comment, and I've been doing this for over 4 decades. My on-stage presentation from a technical perspective was 180 from the way I've spoken on stage before. I tend to speak very quickly. Pausing for me has been a terrific problem. I know that. I get excited. I tend to speed up. Without even realizing it, on stage in front of the live audience, I found my pacing 1,000,000 times better. My pausing became much more natural. And one side, my brain was outside my body thinking, oh my God, 2 years on Zoom has managed to do something I've not been able to do consciously, which was change the manner in which I worked with the audience. Even the way I asked questions and feedback was different than in the 40 years I've done it. So just a comment, we're sitting here and all doing the technical stuff, but we're going to be back in front of audiences soon. The conventions are beginning. I've done one hybrid, which drove my little perfectionist brain crazy. But I'd love to see, Graeme, just a thought, as we do all this technical stuff, is perhaps begin to apply it when we go live on stage. Without realizing it, my personality changed. And I walked off, and I think most probably my reaction was, that was the best damn program I've given for many years. And if we'd not been on Zoom, I do not think that would have happened.
That's neat. Congratulations. It sounds like you've made some good homework while you've been out.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Okay, is there anybody that would like a studio consult? Come on, be brave.
Okay, you can. I will be it,
Okay.
because that's my spot. So yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, why don't you spotlight Doris for me? Okay, now Doris, I got to tell you, you're looking pretty good already here. I mean, this is a pretty nice looking backdrop, a pretty nice looking studio.
That's real. I mean, that's like it's not virtual.
I can tell. It
Okay.
Valentine's
is.
Day,
So-
Doris.
What?
Spotlight.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Because of this. So this is my book. It so happened to have heart, because
Which
it's
is
called
good.
Moments of the Heart. So,
Right, so-
perfect timing.
So what I want you to notice is take a look at the background level between Doris and her background. It is really just about perfect. It really is. Notice that she's got a little depth of field going there. We've got the flowers are a little fuzzy, which is that nice depth of field going there. She's got her 2 books there, and it's really put together. Now the thing that's a little distracting there, you notice she's got the pictures that are kind of cut off. So what we need to do is we either need to position those pictures, or we need to get them out of the shot. Is what we need to do.
So sometimes, so Graeme, but sometimes it's like right now I'm sitting, but when I'm giving a talk, I'm actually standing. And
Okay,
my
so it's different.
higher.
Okay.
So
That
then,
sounds good.
so you see that, but then you don't see all of my books. You know, you see
Right.
the edge of my book, and then you see all what's happening up there, but you don't see the ceiling.
Yeah, that sounds good. So what I want you to notice is Doris has a fair bit of light that's right here. You see, right in front of her face. Here, it's a little darker. So, Doris, what I'm gathering, you've probably got a big light right in front of you?
I do have the ring light, and it's big, and it's right there.
Yeah. So what you need is to go to that advanced setup where you're moving the light out. What I would do is buy one more light, put the ring light on one side, and put the other light on the other side, and it's going to even you out a little bit. But Doris, I got to tell you, you look really good here. This is a nice setup.
Thank you. Thank you. What about my sound? How do I sound using the microphone, my podcast? I'm using this one.
Yep, little hollow. The closer you can get that to you, the better it's going to be. So one of the things that you may want to do is really take that thing and get an adjustable tripod. You're going to be able to get that thing, and you want to get it just outside of the shot. I mean, just barely where it's like right on the edge.
Here it's already in the picture.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. And there's just not much you can do with that kind of mic. You need more of a shotgun. It's not a bad mic. You don't sound bad, but you're a little echoey, but not terrible.
Okay. But if I buy the shotgun, I'll just replace that with the podcast mic.
Perfect.
And it can be on the side where this is, because this is on the right side. You can see.
Well, the thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is, if you can, put it in front of you. Okay. Put it like where the camera is, because the sound goes out. Okay. Think of it, it's sort of like a shotgun pointing out. Wherever your sound goes, you want it there. It's not going down here, it's going out there towards the camera. So if you can put it right next to the camera and preferably close it.
Because right now the camera that I'm using is my laptop camera. It's my Mac camera.
Yeah.
So I,
So right over top of the camera, what I would do is put it behind your laptop and shoot it right at your mouth, right near the camera.
Okay.
That'll help.
Okay. That's what I will do then. Thank you.
Sounds good.
And I will get the other, I saw I saw the Amazon purchase that of this light, the Algetto key light, professional 2800.
Perfect.
For
that's a great.
$200. And you think one will be enough, and I'll just put it on the other side?
I think you can use your existing light and add one more to it, and you'll be fine. You'll have to adjust up the light levels, but again, you look pretty good.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Who else would like a consult? Anybody want some feedback on their studio? Okay, Stephen.
We talked a little bit about me, but I'll take a full consult if no one's stepping up. So, this is my new space that I've only been in for a couple of weeks, and it's a 10 by 10 space, and I'm up against one wall, and the other wall's that close. So it's and it doubles as a spare bedroom. So all my stuff goes flat, and then that opens up to a bed. So I'm not sure what to do with it. I've got literally 1.5 feet, 2 feet between my chair right now, and I'm up against my desk, my chair, and this futon.
Right.
So,
have you thought about maybe a Murphy bed or something like that?
Thought about it.
That would probably be a good idea. So we've got a fair bit of problems going on here. First of all, we've got that big window. And man, that's going to blow out any light that you got. You're going to be hit hard with light on that one side, which means your other side is going to be pretty dark. We've got the light in the background. Again, that's going to spike the light level because we can see that light. We've got the reflection going on in the pictures behind. We can see all the things that that are going on there. The other thing is clothing-wise as well. I'm sure you're just in your fleece tonight, but you want to stay away from anything dark. You want to wear bright colors, and you want to make sure, because the blacks are going to disappear is what's going to happen. So what I would do is see if you can get rid of that couch, and in a small room like this, I think you want to go with a wallpaper setup that is on the ceiling. You've got a little bit of the glasses shadow, but it's not bad. It's really not. You're not getting hit that way. But again, what you'll notice is that one side of your face is lit and the other isn't. And so we need another light that's going to light up your background, because your background's dark. You need at least 2 more lights, one on the side and one behind you, preferably 2 behind you. And again, in a small room, Stephen, put them in the ceiling.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm thinking that wallpaper, something behind me, and a camera that has a narrower focus are 2 primary things that I can do, because then I can just wipe the rest of this out, and then I can figure out additional lighting. I can always close. These are wood blinds, so I can I can close the wood blinds and it blocks out a lot of light.
Yeah, and so what you may want to do as well is just move your angle a little bit so that you're not shooting into that window. You could probably do the angle where you shut more back into the corner, and you'd probably be in better shape.
Okay.
But all you got to do is close those blinds. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right.
Sounds
Thanks.
good. Sure. Who's next?
Hey, Graeme, this is Jim.
Hey, Jim. Okay, Jim, let me
So-
look at you.
Yeah, so mine, I don't have any, I have everything that you said is the most basic. So laptop, microphone, camera, room lighting, no additional ring lights or anything like that.
Right.
And in a basement with a hard surface floor.
Yep. Okay. So, first of all, what's nice is you've got some pretty even lighting. Tell me about the lights that you got going.
4 can lights, and then I also have some track lighting that I can adjust.
It's pretty good. Okay. Now
And that's what's giving me the little bit of a shine right there.
Yeah, for those of us that are follically challenged, it's always tough. So particularly if you've got any kind of of that going on, you want to make sure that you took really careful at what's on the ceiling, because what ends up happening is they end up bouncing off and going right into whatever you have. So
Okay.
particularly what you want to do is get those lights low, and you want to get them in front of you. So
Okay.
you've got a lot of space between you and the other and that back wall. So what I would do is just move your entire setup about 5 or 6 feet back.
Okay.
Okay. And then get some lights in front of you. Turn off the lights
Mm-hmm.
that are that are above you. Okay.
Yeah.
All together. I mean, you don't have to do it now, but basically and then go for that advanced setup where you've got 2 background lights and then 2 lights in front of you, and it's going to give you a pretty nice warm glow. Now, the other thing you got to realize is that everybody's going to be trying to read the
Yeah, I see
titles
what
on
I've got
your
back
book.
there. So maybe some kind of a screen.
Yeah, I think wallpaper would go well. It looks as though you got a pretty nice big space, which is
Yeah.
good, and that would work out really well. With the basement, one of the things that you can do is try to soundproof it a little more. You can sometimes hang blankets beside you that are out of camera that'll
Yeah.
help cut down on that echo as well. What kind of floor you got? Is it like cement?
It's cement. It's concrete,
Yeah,
polished concrete.
yeah. Even area throw rugs, stuff like that helps a lot. But what's going to really make that better is going to be that shotgun mic.
That's what I was thinking, and because it's very directional, and then
Yeah.
get rid of the rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll work well. Your microphone's pretty far away, and you sound pretty hollow. So I
Okay.
think that'll be a great opportunity for you. So the shotgun mic and the advanced lighting setup,
lighting.
or even the pro if you can afford it. So
All right. Thanks.
sounds great. Who's next? Be bold, be
I'd like to do-
brave. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
good.
Ken, wonderful. So Ken, first of all, loving the background, shows a little bit of your style, which is really nice. So what I want you to notice about Ken, he's got a pretty good key going. He really does. Now, Ken, I'm gathering that you're just using Zoom and no green screen?
Correct.
Correct. Now, what makes this work is Jim is pretty evenly lit. Oh, excuse me, not Jim. Ken is pretty evenly lit. And what that means is, even if you're using just Zoom, you end up looking pretty good if you've got even lighting. So, tell me a little bit about your lights. Looks like you got several of them.
I do. I've got a like a little halogen on the desk that I reflect off white paper to try and give me a little color here.
Nice.
I've got a flood up above that I put 2 pieces of wood up on the wall so I could mount them. It's just like a Home Depot clip-on lamp with a reflector, but with a diffuser over it, and I bounce it off the wall. And then on this side, I've got a ring lamp that's up above me, and then I can change the color and intensity of that.
That sounds
as well
great.
as-
So
as well as the height.
So let me talk a little bit about some of those terms that Jim was talking about. He mentioned a diffuser. What this is it's sort of a spun glass that you can buy. And what it does is it takes that light that's really harsh and it kind of makes it softer to where it doesn't have as many hard shadows on it. So what makes Ken's setup work so well is he's got a lot of lights. And that's why he tends to look pretty good there. The other thing is he's got those glasses shadows handled. And why is that? It's because his lights are on the side is what they're doing. And that reflection's coming in, it bounces off the lens, and then it goes over there. It doesn't bounce off the lens and go back into the camera. And that's why that's working out pretty well.
Well, and that's also where I was mentioning, I take, when I'm presenting, I take my display and I jump into it and I just lower it a little bit. So I can still see everything fine, but it takes away some of the intense brightness that wants to bounce back.
Sounds good. Hey, talk to me a little bit about your mic and what you're using.
Well, previously I was using, I have I don't remember the name of the brand right now, but an interface to my computer, and I was actually running what I use on stage, which was like a Sennheiser, I think it's a 935 mic, and I just had it down, but it always showed some. So right now I'm just running with the computer mic, but after listening to you, I think I should go with the shotgun mic.
Probably be better. Notice it's just a little hollow, and I think you can get much better quality mic. You really can. Yeah. Excellent.
So
but again, pretty nice setup. I think you did a really nice job. The fact that you get rid of those glasses shadow, that's not easy. Nicely done, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Graeme.
Pretty good. Who's next? Jan, let's do it.
So speaking of one who hasn't gotten rid of the glasses shadow on my normal set, this is not a studio particularly. But it's where I would do coaching or meetings. And I do have access to a studio light with a diffusing umbrella for.
Perfect. Perfect. That sounds good.
So I put that in front.
You did it in front. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So first of all, what I want you to notice is Jan's background looks pretty good. She's got her nice little, little Japanese garden going there, and she looks pretty great. Now, unfortunately, Jan's got some light level problems that are going on with herself. So what I want you to notice is we've got a lot of shadow here underneath her chin and on her chest, and then we got the white hot going right here. So Jan, I'm gathering you've got
huge lights up above that are the room lights. And I don't have anything to really. The room is problematic. It's got major windows over here.
Yeah.
So
and do you have blinds on the windows or
no.
Like
They're 2-story non-blind windows. They're
2-story non-blind windows. So in this kind of scenario, what happens is that you've got to then create something if you can't close the windows. Number one, can I move and face the windows?
It is so challenging in this room because this was the solution for the last 2 years in the kinds of work I primarily do.
Right.
That but there's a great open space here, so there's nothing to put that on. There have been lots of pieces to figure out, and that's.
So Jan, the main thing that I'm concerned about is we got a lot of eyeshadow here. You see that?
Yep.
Jan, we're getting what's happening is we're getting a shadow that is hitting the edges of your frame, and then it puts a line right over your irises. You see that?
Is that this?
Right. It puts a line right here.
I can't see you. I'm seeing myself, I think.
Yeah.
Hold on. All right. Now I can see you.
So it puts a line like right here. And so what we want to do here is we need to just get that light that's high and on top and bring it down more.
So I need to use that umbrella light.
And again, you'll get glasses flare, so you're going to have to put it up a little higher is what you're going to need to do. But you've got some contrast level. There's not enough light on you. Your background is really nice. So what you can do is take the level on the background down, and then you can open up the iris on the camera, and that would balance it out a little more.
If I drop that light out, does that help?
It doesn't. It basically just makes it darker on the other side.
Darker on one side.
Yeah.
So this is nighttime. A nighttime room. This is seeing the nighttime versus the amount of light that comes flooding in, which makes it look beautiful.
Yeah, and so what you'll probably need to do is, particularly if you get a lot of light, you get those 2-story big windows, that's wonderful. What you'll probably want to do is get another light source that'll be off to the other side to balance you out. Right. You may need a couple of lights in order to compete with daylight. And again, the daylight will be blue. And so you're going to want to make sure that those lights that you get have a color temperature that's kind of blue, because you don't want to be yellow on one side and blue on the other.
Right. So, thanks.
Okay, good. Sounds good. Who's next? Tara, excellent. Okay. So Tara, you've
Okay,
got the
so-
glasses shadow going there.
Yeah,
The glasses reflection. That's coming off the monitor, right?
That is coming off the monitor, and I have not figured out how to fix that yet. Although I don't know why I didn't think of making the monitor less bright. Duh, that seems super obvious. But my big question, because I don't have any of my lights up, I didn't think that there would be enough time for this.
Sure.
So I just ran back here. This is the spot I have in my house that works best. And there's two, this is the corner of the room, and there's two windows right there. So I could get one of them out, but then the other one's in. I can't get them both out. Like background wise, and it's just my bedroom, Graeme. I don't want to hang things from the ceiling.
Gotcha.
So,
no, totally
what other
understand.
options do I have?
So one of the things that I would recommend you do is you can get usually a blind within a blind, or you can get basically just some clear film. You can buy it's sort of like a big roll of sunglass film, and it's sticky. And when you have a meeting, you just go to the window and you just slam it on the window, and it'll bring. It's almost like having sunglasses behind you, is what you can do. The other thing you can do sometimes is put a blind behind the blind. You can have two blinds coming in, and one is a blackout. You know, can you get a blackout blind behind you?
I could. My concern is just, this is ugly to have two visible windows. Like,
It's going to be tough for lighting. You know, it really is. But now, what direction do they face?
West and south.
Okay, so those are two bad things to have. So those are probably the two worst directions.
I have skylights directly above me, which you can't tell now, but during the day, you definitely can. So I know lighting is a problem, but just like, does anyone know of any like good small stands that I could put up and hang a background from, or like not
B&H will be able to hook you up with those,
Yeah?
where they'll be able to give you all those needs. Just tell them exactly what you're looking for. So let me give you a couple.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so basically you've got white walls, okay? And you're going to be competing with white. And particularly when the sun starts creeping in there, it's going to be really bright. So what you're going to need to do is probably get some very bright lights. Okay? Because particularly if you've got to show that window behind you, if you can make yourself bright enough to compete with sunlight, you'll probably look pretty good still. You really will. And so I doubt you're going to need any kind of a background light, because it's pretty close behind you and it's already white. And I think you'll be in good shape. So if you got two really good honking lights of those, think of those panels that I had, and put them probably just 5 or 6 feet from you, I'll bet you could probably compete with sunlight, and you'd probably look pretty good.
Okay. Plant in or plant out, and how is this framing of my head?
I would get something that has a little bit more of your personality. It looks a little Charlie Brownish, and I think
didn't mean that. It's okay.
and I think that how about some great a book or some shelves or something that have got something that's really got your style in it, whatever. You could get a little corner something there, would be great, or even a poster or something like that would be fine.
Now I've hurt its feelings. Okay. How about the framing of my head? Is that okay?
Framing's good. Yeah.
Okay. And this isn't the right camera. The other camera is much better. I just wanted those two questions. Thank you.
Sounds good. Excellent. Who's next? Have we reached our end? I think we got most everybody. That's great. Well, Stephen, I will toss it back to you to wrap us up.
All right. This was fantastic, Graeme. As always, you were awesome. And if you're looking through the comments in the chat before you go away, you got nothing but glowing reviews. There's only a dozen of us left. And, one of the things that we like to do, and we find it valuable, is just a real quick popcorn for 30 or 60 seconds of what's your biggest takeaway? What's the most valuable thing you're taking from this presentation, just to anchor the learning and to celebrate, Graeme?
Well, I just think Graeme is always such a wealth of information and inspiration to teach us how to just move to the next level. And as I'm listening to you, I just downloaded a webcam on my phone. I shopped for the shotgun. or whatever the heck his name is, and I am like ready to go. So, and I'm gonna get the light. So here we go. An evening of about $500, but okay.
I tell you, Graeme, I think you need your own brand of lighting, and you'd make a fortune.
Yes,
missing your calling.
Yes, I just need to understand how to connect my video now, this webcam thing on my phone, which I downloaded, and how would I connect it to this Zoom? And I have to understand how to do this.
Just a lightning cable. It's all you need.
Yep. Same thing you charge your phone with. Just plug it in your computer.
And then it will connect to this Zoom?
Yep.
Well, you just identify it as the camera you're using.
Okay. 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 See, I learn something new every day. You know, that's
Awesome.
beautiful. Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any big takeaways, Jen?
Yeah, you know, we spend our lives motivating other people. We need motivation. So this to me is a kick in the ass. As a recovering perfectionist, one is always delaying taking that action. So I've got about 10 pages of notes.
Thank you, Graeme, the resident ass kicker. All right. Who else? Jan.
Thanks so much for the tips on the lights in this particular room. So this last section was really, really helpful watching other people's rooms as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ken.
Graeme, just thank you so much. That I've been to lots and lots of presentations about presenting, like this and how to make it better, but this was the best I've ever been to. It's just fantastic. So much. And to give us a handout item by item, that's just gold. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love that. I've clicked on a bunch of things. I haven't spent all the money yet, Doris, but I've clicked on a lot of it. I was trying to figure out which way to go. Jen.
One more question, and I forgot to ask it when you said it. What's AR? That we're going to be doing AR.
Sorry, that's augmented reality. So basically, it's where you can they're glasses that you can see through, and then basically what's going to happen is somebody will be brought virtually into the room. So it's
somebody or us.
Us, yeah.
Oh.
Or so basically you'll be able to see the real world, and then basically they're just going to stick a presenter in your real world. It'll be like somebody sitting in your kitchen talking to you.
Which means it'll be Graeme because he's the only one who understands it yet.
So
it's coming.
One of those things, a hyper something.
Yeah. There's VR, which is virtual reality, which totally immerses you in an artificial environment. But AR uses the real world and puts elements in your real world through glasses.
Oh, that's creepy.
It is.
Tara. So you, as the real-time speaker, are integrated into the real-time audience. You're in two completely different locations, but it's both in real time.
Like you're in the same room.
Yeah.
Tara. They come to you too? I mean, it's fascinating.
So think Star Wars and the little people that would pop up from the little machines, and they were like in front of you, but through glasses instead of the little machines. That's my one thing.
Love that.
Graeme,
so we don't have to buy R2D2.
Right. I so appreciate you. And I just want to tell you, since you're in our chapter and you're ours, and we have some ownership invested here in you, this is probably the third or maybe fourth time I've been blessed to see you do this. And you're so kind. You're getting so good at being patient. Not that you were impatient, but I think you assumed early on a certain level of technical skill that you then realized, oh my goodness, these people know nothing. And so you're so encouraging, and I just so appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
You may laugh at us when we leave, but you don't laugh at us now, and I appreciate that.
That's so true. Okay, may I just show one moment of complete ignorance? Can I share this? Is this a vulnerable space for me to be ignorant? Because this is ridiculous. Okay, so I downloaded this webcam, and I'm seeing this video, right? I'm seeing this, and I can't get out of it. It's like, I can't go back to my phone. I'm like, where the hell is my phone? Like, I'm trying to close it as an app. I don't know what to push. So anybody know?
Restart.
I mean, like, I don't understand. It's like this thing, and there's nothing on the side that could tell me where to stop. I'm like, I'm Xing everything, and I'm still in there.
Are there teenagers in the house stories?
That's a great suggestion, but I have a freshman in college. How dare he leave this house? Okay, so nobody knows, like, how the hell am I getting done? Okay, well, that would be interesting.
Is it an iPhone or an Android?
It's an iPhone, you know, and do you see that I have these dots on the side? Like, what screen do I want to see? And there's some things on the left right here, but none of it is allowing me to, like, X out.
And sweeping up from the bottom's not working?
No, nothing.
Turn off the screen.
Oh, and now I did the line, and just look, it came out as a line. It opens this. And I say, okay, I want to learn more. I don't care. I just want to X out. And it's back to me. I'm like,
so you're on a loop. I mean, you're
I am always going to see me. This is scary. Okay.
All right. Well, we sent Doris into technology hell as we grind up our evening. So sorry. It was awesome up until that moment.
I mean, it was like, I'm sure, like, what the hell? You know, I don't know even.
I wish I knew what to tell you. I haven't downloaded it yet, but now I'm having second thoughts. All right. Well, let's wrap it up, and maybe I don't know what to tell you. Graeme, any thoughts for her that you haven't shared? I mean, I don't know if you're an Apple guy or not.
Teresa, if you want, I'll stay with you and see if I can help you. Okay.
All right. Then on behalf of the meeting, I will officially close this. Graeme, I second everybody's comments. You are awesome. You are very generous and you are very kind, and your information is just abundant. And I wish I could absorb it all and do exactly what to do with it, but one step at a time, baby. I just got to take it one step at a time. And I obviously had the worst situation of everybody on screen. You all look so much better than I do. So I've got a lot to learn. So thank you all for coming. We wish you the best of luck, Doris, getting fixed, whatever this is. And we shall see you next month. Take care, everybody.
See you for Speaker Performance Lab 28.
Yes, Speakers Performance
Bye,
Lab.
guys.
With Linda Cohen.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jan. Nice to meet you.